Good morning, grade 11 students. Welcome to our grammar lesson for today. So in today's lesson, we are going to study the past tenses, mainly the past perfect. Kindly get your books open on page 55. So in today's lesson, we are going to cover two main objectives. First, you are going to determine the uses of past perfect and past tenses through situations. And second, you will use appropriate tenses to refer to past events and situations. Let's get started. Think back to yesterday and try to give a grammatically accurate response to the following questions. We have 3 questions here. The first one, what were you doing yesterday at 10 a.m.? I tried to call you many times. What would you answer? Okay. You can say, I was studying yesterday at 10 a.m. or I was sleeping or I was doing my homework. So we are describing a past action that took place in a specific time period. Next question, where did you go? Of course, this question is about yesterday. I went to school. So here this action is completed. Next one, what had you eaten before you went to school? Unfortunately, I hadn't eaten anything before I went to school. So we are talking about an action that had taken place before I went to school. So can you tell what are the 3 tenses used in each answer? The first one is the past progressive, which is mainly about incomplete actions in the past or to describe actions that were ongoing in a specific time. This one, the second one, is the past simple to talk about completed action, and the past perfect to describe a series of actions and to describe the action that happened first. Now let's move on to your student book, page 55, and start with the activity number A. Read the sentences below and answer the questions that follow. It is very important to understand the situation here so we can answer later these questions. After intensive poaching had reduced them to just 3 animals in the wild, the last surviving male sadly died in 2018. Which action happened first and which happened next? So this keyword can help us identify the chronological order of the events. After this action happened, another action took place. So first, intensive poaching, of course, had reduced animals in the wild, and next, the last surviving male died. Now, which tenses are used? If you remember the previous activities. Now, this is the first action, had reduced, that happened first, and then died is the second action. So the first one is the past perfect, while the second one is the past simple. All right, now let's move on to the next situations. Let's read them carefully and try to understand them. Pinta tortoises once thrived on the Galapagos Islands, but by the 19th century, their numbers had declined considerably. Number B, Pinta tortoises once thrived on the Galapagos Islands, but in the 19th century, their numbers declined considerably. The question is, which sentence tells us that population numbers decreased during the 19th century? So, as you can see, they are almost the same, but we have slight differences. By the 19th century, in the 19th century. So, which sentence tells us that the population numbers decreased during. We have in. Very good. So this is the answer. It is sentence number B. In the 19th century means during. Which sentence tells us that population numbers decreased before the 19th century? So by the 19th century means before, and we use here, of course, the past perfect because we are talking about an action that happened first. Now look at the examples from activity A again and complete the rule. So this is the activity A and the examples. After intensive poaching had reduced them, or the other example had declined. And this is the past perfect simple. We use the subject plus past participle. Very good. It's the auxiliary had. All right, now let's move on to the grammar reference, page 90, and try to understand the two uses of the past perfect simple. As we said, the past perfect simple is constructed as follows: had plus past participle. So, first, to describe an action which was completed before a specific point of time in the past. I had finished my homework by 8 o'clock. The key word here is by a specific time, which means before this time I had done something which is finishing my homework. Number two, to describe an action that was completed before another action in the past. Here, when you have series of actions, and we use the past perfect to describe the action that happened first. Now look at the example. The film had already started when we got to the cinema, which means that the first thing happened is that the film started. After that, we reached the cinema, means we were late. All right, now let's test your understanding. Read the situation and order the events chronologically. When Mr. and Mrs. Smith reached their house, their son slept. So let's focus on this picture. Did he finish sleeping? No, the action is ongoing here. So to their shock, they find out that someone break into the house and steal the jewelry. So chronologically, which action happened first? Very good. The thief who? Very good. Who, of course, broke into the house and stole the jewelry. Now let's share the answer. When Mr. and Mrs. Smith reached their house, their son was sleeping. To their shock, they found out that someone had broken into the house and had stolen the jewelry. If you feel confused about how to form the past simple or progressive or perfect, I advise you to take note of the following forms on your notebook. All right, now let's consolidate your understanding through the activity C on your student book. Complete the sentences using the past simple. So as we said, the past simple is used for a complete action in the past or finished action. The past progressive, which is used for incomplete or ongoing action in the past at a specific time. Or the past perfect simple, and the past perfect here is used for an action that happened before a specific time in the past or before another action in the past. So as you can see, we have the verbs in brackets and you are going to put the verb in the correct form. We think about how to get the horse free from the sand when suddenly it climbed out by itself. So you can highlight when suddenly. This shows that we have two actions. One of them happened suddenly to interrupt the other. So we think about how to get the horse. This is the interrupted action. So it should be in the past progressive. And according to the form, it should be as follows. We were thinking when suddenly it climbed. This is a complete action in the past. Number two, by the time as you can see here, by the time the authorities decide to protect local forest. So before this action, there is another action that took place. Logging companies destroy a big part of the green zone. So chronologically, logging companies destroy a big part of the green zone happened first, and then authorities took a decision to protect the local forest. Very good. So when they decided to protect forest, logging companies had destroyed because this action happened first. Number 3, I not hear about artificial reefs until last month. I be so interested in finding out what they are like that I visit one in the Caribbean 2 weeks ago. So we have here many keywords. The first one, you can highlight it, until last month. All right, so I hadn't heard about artificial reefs. So this is the first thing, until last month, because after that, I was so interested in finding out what they are like that I visited one of the Caribbean 2 weeks ago. The group camp in the forest when they see a bear approaching their tents. When they see a bear. So we have when here to relate two actions. One is interrupted. The group was or were camping. It depends if you refer to one single group or to the members of the group. So you can say either was or were. When they see a bear approaching, so this suddenly happened when they saw. So the bear here interrupted the group. 5. While he tries, still we have the keyword here between brackets, still, to catch his first fish, I catch already 5. So try to think which one happened first. His still and already. So I already means this is the first action that happened first. So while he was still trying, because he didn't finish, I had already caught. Be careful, this is an irregular verb and you have to memorize the irregular verbs. Number 6, Renee not come to the event we planned for her. So chronologically, the first action is planning to the event, but later, unfortunately, she didn't attend. So Renee didn't come. So this is the negative form, didn't plus the verb in the base form. To the event, we already had planned for this, so we had planned for her. Number 7, the professor starts his talk about water pollution at 7 p.m. However, by 9:30 p.m., he's still not finished. So by 9:30 means before this time, he's still not finished. So the professor started his talk, but by or before this specific time, he still hadn't finished. Let's move now to this sentence number 8. Until last year, the Encanto travel agency in San Juan organized tours to El Yunque rainforest. So here we have the word until last year, and both answers are correct. We can say organized or had organized. So because they actually tell what happens first. So the past perfect is optional. And here both options are correct. Let's carry on. For those who, and we have the word never be. So for those who had never been to a rainforest before, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Flip the cards to reveal the answer underneath. Let's play. What is the past participle of think, teach, buy, bring? Very good. Thought, taught, bought, brought. Next question. What is the form of the past perfect? Had plus verb in the past participle. What is the tense used to talk about an action that happened before another action in the past? It's the past perfect. What is the use of the past simple? To talk about actions that finished in the past. What is the past participle of give? Very good, it is given. This is all for today. Thank you so much. Don't forget to do the daily assignment on the Microsoft Teams.